Hello and welcome to Bible Study with Alice, and today we're on day 21, Proverb 21 of our daily proverb reading. We are reading from the ESV translation, but you're more than welcome to join us from a different translation. As you can see, we are on Proverbs 21. These videos are filmed in real time. Today's date is the 21st of April 25 and it's a Monday. Here in the UK, it's Easter Monday. You can find the previous 20 Proverbs in the playlist below. There is a disclaimer as usual, and that is one, these videos are unedited and also probably done with my wording. Let's get started. The king's heart is a stream of water in the hand of the Lord. He turns it whenever he will. Every way a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the heart. To do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. Haughty eyes and a proud heart, the lamp of the wicked, are sin. The plans of the diligent leads surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. The getting of the treasure by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapour and a snare of death. The violence of the wicked will sweep them away because they refuse to do what is just. Just wait for my camera to back out. That's good. On 8. The way of the guilty is crooked, but the conduct of the pure is upright. It is better to live in a corner of a housetop than a house shared with a quarrelsome wife. The soul of the wicked desire evil. His neighbour finds no mercy in his eyes. When a scoffer is punished, the simple becomes wise. When a wise man is instructed, he gains knowledge. The righteous one observes the house of the wicked. He throws the wicked down to ruin. Whoever closes his ear to the cry of the poor will himself call out and not be answered. A gift in secret averts anger, and the concealable bribe strong wrath. When justice is done, it is a joy to the righteous, but terror to the evildoers. One who wanders from the way of good sense will rest in the assembly of the dead. Whoever loves pleasure will be 17. Whoever loves pleasure will be a poor man. He who loves wine and oil will not be rich. 18. The wicked is a ransom for the righteous, and the traitor for the upright. It is better to live in a desert land than with a quarrelsome and fretful woman. Precious treasure and oil are in a wise man's dwelling, but a foolish man devours it. Whoever punishes righteousness and kindness will find life, righteousness, and honour a wise man's scale. The city of the might and bring down the stronghold in which they trust. Whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble. Scoffers is the name of the arrogant, haughty man who acts with arrogant pride. The desire of the sluggard kills him, for his hands refuse to labour. Just wait for my camera to go back. 26. All day long he craves and craves, but the righteous gives and does not hold back. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination. How much more when he brings it with evil intent? A false witness will perish, and the word of a man who hears will endure. Wicked man puts a bold face, but the upright gives thought to his evil ways. No wisdom, no understanding, no counsel can avail against the Lord. The horse is made ready for the day of the battle, but the victory belongs to the Lord. So that is 21 complete, and tomorrow we're going to be doing 22. And as I have said with pretty much all of the Proverbs so far, so all of the 20 previous Proverbs, that they are so far written by King Solomon. And as I said in the previous videos, historians and scholars don't know when during King Solomon's reign when they were written, but they know that they were written during his reign. And King Solomon's reign was from 970 to 931 BC. Now, we don't know if it's a begin, middle or end, but we just know it was during his reign. And Proverbs 21 talks about the importance of God's sovereignty and the importance of the righteous life over outward religious practices. So with this in particular, it talks about how important God is. Now, God obviously is important. He's the most important being. And to follow his ways and follow his practices and teachings, you do need to live a righteous life. Now, we can all live a righteous life, to be fair. I'm not saying none of us aren't, but we need to be able to live a righteous life. And as I've said in previous videos, that the original audience for the book of Proverbs, so it's not just for this particular proverb, it's for the whole of the book of Proverbs. The original audience for the book was young Jewish men who were coming out of their youth and into adulthood. So they are starting their adult life. So they're going to be, finding a wife, getting married, finding work, looking after their families, and just doing what they need to do to live a good life. But to be able to do that, you do need to be able to have God on your side and be able to have his wisdom and understanding on his side. So to be able to do this, you need to be able to, have a sense of wanting to do what's right, going to church, reading scriptures, reading the Bible, which is part of your scriptures, but then obviously depending on faith, you might read other scriptures, neither here or there, I don't mind what you read. At the end of the day, you're reading your scriptures, you're just wanting to do what's right. Now, to be a righteous person, you don't have to go to church every Sunday. Now, some people might think to me, or might say to me, I have to go to church every Sunday to be a righteous person. No, you don't. I don't go to church every Sunday, I'm not going to lie. But if my church that I go to broadcasts it on YouTube on a Sunday, I will watch it then. There are other areas within the county that I live in that has like the same church, and they also broadcast it live too. So if for whatever reason my particular church in my local area can't broadcast it because the camera's not working or something like that, does not necessarily mean that I'm not going to not be able to watch it, because I can watch it. I just end up watching it from a different area, which I have done, and I do that quite often because for some reason the cameras never seem to be working, and there's always seemed to be a reason for why they're not working, which I'm not saying it's not a valid reason, because I actually don't know, because I'm not there to know, because I don't go to church every Sunday. But it doesn't make me less of a righteous person because I don't go to church. I mean, I have my reasons why I don't go to church, in all fairness, but I'm not going to go into them here, because this is about Bible study, not about my religious beliefs and where I go to church and all that, and the reasons why I don't go to my church every Sunday. But it doesn't mean I don't go to church every Sunday, because I do, and I do watch it online, which is the beauty of the internet, is that we can do things online. Obviously back then you couldn't, you had to go to the temple, but back then to go to the temple is probably was easier to do than it is for us to do it here now, because obviously there's always going to be some kind of other commitment that is happening. For example, it could be ill health. You might have family over who aren't members of a church. You might have work. You might have a job where you have to work on a Sunday. You have so many different things. I know they say that on a Sunday it's a day of rest, but if you do go by it the correct way, then yes, it is a day of rest. But there are those people that are righteous people and work in the health service, for example, or work as carers, and they're caring for other people, so that then means that they still have to go to work regardless of it, even though they might not want to go to work. Honestly, they might like to have a day of rest, but they have a job where they are required to work a Sunday. I mean, I'm just lucky that I work in a job where I don't have to work a weekend. So for me, that's a good thing. But who knows? They might change the way the service runs and I might end up working a weekend. But we can just be grateful at the moment that I don't have to work in a service that requires me to work a weekend. Because I do quite like having the Sabbath day as my day of rest, my day to recuperate, watch my church thing online, read my scriptures, watch some videos, all sorts. I always somehow find something to do, and that still means that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't have to go to church every Sunday to do so, and neither do you. If you're watching this video on a Sunday, which is probably won't be at the moment, because obviously I'm recording it live, so if you're watching it in the future on a Sunday, you might be watching my previous videos on a Sunday, even you might be on my book of Psalm videos and you might watch that on a Sunday, regardless, or even my book reviews, which I need to do. I've got a few book reviews lined up and I haven't got round to them just yet, but I am getting there. So I've got so many things going on in my head in relation to the channel that I can't seem to keep up with it at the minute, but I'm getting there. But if you're watching videos on a Sunday, that's still your way of doing the righteous thing. And it's obviously the importance of because obviously where it says about the importance of righteous life over outward religious practices. You don't have to do outward religious practices by going to church, as I just said. You don't need to do that. And that's what this particular proverb is basically explaining, that you don't need to do all that. I mean, there are a lot of, there are going to be people who don't go to church at all, have never been to a church, and quite like watching Bible study videos, because it's just something that they're into, and that's fine. I'm more than happy to accommodate to all my viewers. So if you do go to a church on a Sunday, then that's absolutely fantastic, and if you don't, that's also absolutely fantastic, because at the end of the day, as long as you're doing something constructive in relation to the gospel on a Sunday, or any day of the week, to be fair, it makes no difference to me, because you're still doing something righteous. You're doing the righteous thing by studying the Bible, regardless if it's a Sunday or any other day of the week. Obviously today's Monday, so obviously you'll be doing this on a Monday, but regardless of what day of the week you're doing it on, and whatever day of the week you come across this video on, you're still doing something constructive with yourself, because you're still finding that way to gain knowledge and wisdom and understanding of the gospel. And with King Solomon, he's trying to explain that to these young Jewish men, that you don't need to do, you don't need to constantly be like, I've got to go to church, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do the other. It's just doing the righteous thing. And that's what's important, is doing the righteous thing. And that is by following God's practices, following his sovereignty, taking his way in and understanding him and absorbing his words every day. That's why we do these videos daily, as in one proverb or one psalm or one chapter even a day, because then it means you're doing something righteous every day by doing it every day, because you're absorbing God's word in every day. You're kind of thinking, oh, actually I might follow on from this, you might do other things with it. And then the next day we go on to the next chapter and we learn about the next chapter, and that's still going about God's wisdom every day of the week, because that's what, that will help us to become better and become righteous, more righteous than we are. I mean, I like to think we're all righteous, but to become more righteous by doing it every single day. And by doing it every single day, it just helps us more. So that is 21 complete. And still haven't found my pen. Something about my family. They borrow things and don't put them back. But it's fine. I'm not actually worried. I'll probably end up finding it in like a month's time. It'll probably just reappear like next month or something silly like that. I don't know. I am looking for it still. But I always find, I don't know if it's just me, but I always find that if I'm looking for something and I'm focused on looking for something, I don't seem to find it. So if I leave it and then it appears, then it's all good. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to forget about it. It's fine. I've got a pen. I can write in the day and the date and it's fine. And then when it reappears, it reappears. So thank you for watching. Please like my content. Please subscribe to my channel and please turn on the notification bell so you get notified of content like this. Thank you and goodbye.